And if you want more comic book review videos, let me know. I want more comic book videos. Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? This is Zen from Zen World, and I hope you're having a great day. So today we are reviewing Flash Forward #1 and #2. And let me just start off by saying this book is amazing. This is kind of like the resurrection of Wally West in terms of his story, because we know from Heroes in Crisis, for lack of better words and spoilers, he did kill some of the heroes who are part of Heroes in Crisis. And while he did do it accidentally, he went about it the wrong way and ended up jumping forward into the future, or jumping back into the past in order to do something to then cover it up, right? So it was a whole long story, but with that being said, it was kind of like, Wally, what is Wally going to do? So where we pick up in the story in part 1 is that he's in jail, or in prison, and he goes through the process of everyone is just trying to like get at him, right? He has his collar to dampen his powers, things of that nature, and he gets beat up by some people, but he's already in a state of mind where he's like, I really have nothing to live for, basically. But he's not going to take his own life. But what I mean by that is that he's just going through his daily process, right? He's kind of sulking and thinking about everything. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Wally West, since post New 52, has gone through so many different things, right? The love of his life is not the love of his life in this new current timeline. And his kids, and he's had kids, are no longer present. So he's gone through so much. It's kind of like the post-traumatic stress syndrome, where he remembers everything from pre-New 52, but isn't able to establish any of those realities in the new continuity, right? And I know that gets a little bit confusing too in its sense, but basically he lived a whole life that's no longer part of the present, right? And that's just like the shortened version. And he made some horrible choices when it came to Heroes in Crisis. Read that run, because it's I wouldn't say that I fully enjoyed it. But sometimes you need something really big in order to jump a character forward, and I think like this book in Flash Forward is going to make that happen. So with that being said, I kind of said away just so I could explain a little bit more in terms of the mentality for Wally West. And he went through the process of like fighting off all these people in prison, and then they messed up his dampener, and then he's basically using his abilities and powers. And of course, Wally West is the fastest Flash there is, and he's readily taking them out. Now, we see kind of like Wally, he's like beamed out of there, right? And we come to find out that he's been beamed out by Tempest Fugonaut. Now, Tempest Fugonaut is a brand new character that's part of the whole dark multiverse, the in-betweener, right? So what I mean by the in-betweener is he's kind of like the Watcher from Marvel Comics, right? Some people might disagree, but one of the things that he does allude to in the book and explains is that he's been overseeing both what's been happening in the normal DC continuity, and also what's been happening in multiverse, the dark multiverse. So that's pretty much all of our multiverse versus all of the dark multiverse, where the Batman Who Laughs hails from, right? So with that being said, and one of the things that Tempest Huguenot is in his prologue is basically talking about how things are starting to change, right? That the dark multiverse is starting to spill over into the main multiverse, right? Which is the one where we have all of our superheroes. Needless to say, he asks for Wally West's help because, as he's explaining it, it is Wally's destiny. The reason why I'm so hyped about this part is because Wally is in need of redemption right now. Everything that's happened to him, and everything he's pretty much done, he needs a second chance. Now, here's the thing why I really appreciate this book, because it's given Wally a second chance where people who we see in society wouldn't normally get a second chance for the things they've done, but Wally's going to get it, right? And he's going to get it for something that's on a big and grand scale. The other cool part about this is that no one really knows what Wally is doing or what journey he's about to embark on. Now, this is a 1 out of 6 series, right? I think the next book comes out I think on the 20th, the week of the 20th, from November. Now, Wally is neglected to, Tempest Fugonaut whisks him away and then gives him his suit back and tells him he has to be the savior of the multiverse. And Wally's like, what? I can't even save myself, right? He's basically like, I killed some people, and now all of a sudden you want me to be able to save the multiverse? He's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. But then Tempest Fugonaut is like, this is your destiny. You gotta do it. Which then leads into book number two. Now, book number two kind of drops Wally West off into, I believe it's Earth. I gotta check it because I'm losing. This Earth is pretty cool. It's Earth 23, right? Earth 23 is the Earth where Calvin Ellis is from, and that is the President Superman, right? He's kind of like he's the African American Superman, and he's pretty stellar in character in terms of his premises as a leader, right? Himself. So he's whisked to that Earth, and remember that Tempest Fugonaut was basically saying that some of the dark multiverse is spilling over into the regular multiverse, right? And what's happening here is that there are bits and pieces of the dark multiverse that are manifested in different ways, right? One of the ways that we see that are fighting Calvin Ellis, the President Superman, is kind of like this dog-like dark multiverse type of figure, right? Now, the goal of the dark multiverse type of beings or essence is to exactly what it's doing. It's taking over, right? It's trying to spread like a cancer, right? It's spreading as fast as it can. Now, the Flash has kind of like this light wand, right? Or light staff, but it's really shortened, so it's kind of like a baton. And what he's trying to do is to clean it up, right? So he comes across Calvin Ellis, and they kind of like team up for a little bit. And he's trying to help them. He fights them off, things of that nature. But then come to find out that everyone who's part of that Justice League sees the Flash, Wally West, as like a threat. But Calvin is like, no, like he's good. He helped me out. He's doing X, Y, and Z, right? And then come to find out later on, we're getting kind of like these alternate version of the X-Men from Marvel. Yes, I'm very serious when I'm saying that. um, and also like the Avengers who are part of this multiverse-esque, and they're not bad, right? They're good characters, but they're kind of seeing Wally West as like a central figure who is someone who might be bringing all of this bad stuff, but he's trying to tell them like, no, I'm not doing this. But here's the thing: Wally West is second to none, so he's rapping these X-Men, right? And Avenger characters, like he's wrapping them up. He's like whisking. He's the fastest, right? He's the fastest Flash that we've ever seen, and he is doing it in quick nature, right? He even gets to the point where he's basically kind of like saving them and fighting off the foes at the same time. Now, Tempest Fugonite, he kind of goes through the process of saying to Wally that this Earth that you're on right now cannot be saved, right? Because time has run out. There's too much of the dark multiverse that is spreading through this earth. So it's time to leave. This is where Wally shines, and he is gonna redeem himself. He kind of already redeemed himself to me, because people make mistakes, and I think that's where it begs the question, right? When people make really big mistakes, can they make a turn for the better, right? Um, And I know sometimes some of you might say like no, some of you might say yes, but um, we often want to give people a second chance. And I think for us as readers, this is kind of like me saying like, will I give Wally a second chance based on what he's done? And the answer is yes. And he's doing it in a fashionable state. So Wally's basically talking to Tempest, and he's like, no, he's like, time didn't run out, and I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power in order to save these people from this earth, right? So he goes for it. He basically saves the earth, right? He saves that earth. Now, the cool part about it is not, he starts off with Earth 23, and he doesn't really come to terms with what he has to do. Uh, but he knows he had to do it, right? So he's kind of like, he doesn't know where his destiny lies, but he's willing to go for the venture. And that's basically the premise of this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Seeing Wally in this I grew up with Wally West. Yes, Barry Allen was the Flash. That kind of originated with my like birth, right? But I was hyper exposed to like Wally West as the Flash, and I'm glad to see him in these kind of like world building and defying type of task that he has to do. Like this is like no little task, right? He's basically in charge of saving the multiverse from the dark multiverse, and he has to do it in quick work, right? Before things start to spread even more. Now, even though I did mention that Tempest Fugonaut is kind of like the Watcher, I really like his design, and also what I don't know about him, right? He did say that he's not the only Fugonaut, but Tempest and this kind of like coalition between Tempest and Wally West is just really amazing. Now, I don't want to spoil you all, so I want you to go read this book. But at the end of the book, we see a couple of things, right? Number one, we see figures of characters that Wally has killed, kind of like these statue-esque, right? I'm not too sure what Earth they pop up in. If they're popping up in the main Earth, or this is another Earth that he's going to go venture to in order to save them as well. But one of the coolest things that we see at the end of the book is Wally's kids, right? He sees both of his kids. Now, remind you, pre-New 52, they were kids, right? They were, alive and well. Post New 52, basically where we are right now, there is no kids for Wally. He remembers them though, but they're not part of this reality. So it almost seems as if he never had kids. Now, let me just jump into the psychology of Wally right now, right? He already had this whole entire Earth planned out. He met the love of his life. They had kids. Boom. He saved people, things of that nature. Now he goes through the process where he's lost. He's back. And in this reality, there are no kids, right? There is now Linda Park, who is the love of his life. I just remembered her name. That's why it came to me, because I couldn't remember it before, just to be honest. Now, Linda Park, she's still alive and well, but she knows nothing about kids with Wally or anything of that nature. Has he reminded her of this? No, he's not. He's pretty stellar in this part because he's not going to go craft a future based on the old one, even though it was real for him, right? So imagine that a whole reality of people that you love and care about, friends that you've made, who are part of like teammates and things of that nature who are no longer relevant, and you have to rebuild from that with the past knowledge still in your head. That is post-traumatic stress times like a higher number, especially if you're the Flash, where your cognition and neurological makeup and neurons are just firing really fast, right? So I have sympathy for him, right? In this book, I had sympathy for him in many different ways. A lot of people were kind of off and on about this book, about the writing and storytelling. But if you were to read Heroes in Crisis leading up to Flash Forward, then you would understand the gripes that Wally has to go through. Because as me as reader, it's kind of letting us go through this mini series. Will we forgive Wally West after he's done what he's done, and after he's about to do what he's going to do? Now, we haven't seen the fruits of his labor yet. It's a 6 mini issue, but I am excited to see what's going to happen with Wally West. For me, everyone, I'm giving this just these 2 books. I was completely immersed, right? I have to say that before I give the score. I was completely immersed in this book, and some of you who know, I love time travel as books and speedster type books, right? Where it where only someone who's as fast as the Flash can basically save everyone. And this is one of the books where we see that Wally, being the fastest speedster alive, is going to be needed while everyone is doing X, Y, and Z with other, they're doing some like heavy footwork. He's kind of like I would say like mending everything that's happening between the multiverse and then the dark multiverse, and it's like really big, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna give these 2 books, these 2 amazing books, for me, a 10 out of 10. Now, some of you might disagree with that, and I'm okay with that because I was completely immersed with this book, and I'm going through the psychological process of like, am I gonna forgive Wally West for everything that he's done? the characters that he's accidentally killed, but all of the work that he tried to put in to cover it up, which is completely wrong. It went against what I believe a superhero to be, right? And also kind of that person who goes through the character pillars of being trustworthy, honest, respectful, showing citizenship, fairness, and caring, and things of that nature, right? Now he kind of diverged from that superhero logic, but he's trying to go through the process of redemption. Does he want redemption? Here's the here's the cool part about it. He doesn't want redemption. He knows that he's done some bad things. And I think that's the coolest part about the book. So again, I give this book a 10 out of 10. Go read Flash Forward. Definitely when as you could see, hear in my review today that I really enjoyed this book, and I'm gonna do as soon as part 3 comes out, I'm gonna do it again. So with that being said, this is Zen from Zen World saying peace, love, and prosperity. Check out Flash Forward. Let me know what you think about it, and if you've already read the book, drop some comments, give me a like, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you all later. And if you want more comic book review videos, let me know. I want more comic book videos. Zen, don't do these other videos because I want more comic book review videos. All right, everyone, take care. Peace.